Hey folks, it's Moxley here and welcome to a new TEW2020 video. You join us today for what is a new video. For me, it's 2 videos in one day, as I've managed to continue the momentum from last week's episode and managed to book through. Quite intrigued by this Revolution card. A lot of stuff I managed to get together in storyline sense, although a wee bit it was kind of put together at the last minute. I feel it is going to be a show that is going to give us the opportunity to challenge last year's 86 rated show. Attendance wise, I'm not too sure on, but I've just remembered, but because money is not an option, let's go ahead and make it legendary band, A-list celebrity, and the special set. Purely, as I say, because we don't have any money issues. The roster's practically complete. 1 or 2 additions still to come, but yeah, not really much else being doing. We're making money. Well, at Vince McMahon, we're making money beside ourselves here. So I want to jump back just quickly through the 2 Revolutions before we get to tonight. So the first ever match with at Revolution was Becky Quinn against Serena Deeb, and our first ever main event was for the AEW World Championship with Kenny Omega defeating Hangman, because Hangman still wasn't over. Mental as well that Kevin Steen was there 2 years ago, and I still don't think I've done anything with him, so that's pretty poor on my behalf. But if we move on to 2023, nice opener between Shawn Michaels and CM Punk. I've kind of let Shawn kind of just dip away, which is bad on my part, but yeah. Main event was the final of the own, so in that time I booked the 10-man round robin. So we don't have the own so far, but I think that's going to give me something to book on the road to Double or Nothing, probably the final at Double or Nothing, or maybe make it a special event, because I think my problem is with the own this year is obviously I have 2 completely different brands, so I don't know how it'd quite work that. I need to turn brands off for special matches or make some wild card rule like you'd see with the WWE. But anyway, we had Adam Cole over Cody, and we also had Mercedes Varnado defeat Thunder Rosa in a 30-minute Iron Women match for the AEW Women's title. Bryan Danielson, MJF, you can see there, and just a small matter of Hangman versus Andrade for the AEW World Championship. So tonight, I think we're roughly about 18 segments. I think it looks okay. It'll put us in a good position heading forward. I believe to Blood and Guts. I think I do have a long run to get to that show. I think it is like 8 weeks away, so it is going to give me a good opportunity to get some plans in place. It also means I think we might struggle to meet that first. It's not even a deadline to say videos will go up whenever, but I'd be surprised if there is one next Thursday. But you never know, keep your eyes out. I might magically have a spare bit of time to go on a booking frenzy. You never know. But anyway, we're here for Revolution. Let's dive in to this week's show. So here we are. Welcome to Revolution 2024. Checked my history of what's to come next. We have the Dream Big free-for-all show, so that's good. That we'll have a show at the end of the month in March, and then it's another 4 weeks to Blood and Guts. But we're here at the Lucas Oil Stadium, 61,000, not as great as we would normally expect, but because of the massive industry decline, this is what we're at attendance-wise. I think the industry is like 10%. It's properly at the bottom in comparison to the industry thriving once we started to save. So what I've done here is I wanted to kind of get the cheap 100 rated show, so in this segment. So I went with Punk and Bryan, just trading words. They're going to battle tonight. They've had a wee bit iffy contest. It's been a lot of mixed tags just to try and help elevate the likes of Charlotte, Io Shirai, Demi Bennett and BB Ford. So it's just a case of they want to prove who's the best in the world, and it's time to do it in an AEW ring, 100 rated segment, and they'll meet later on tonight. It's almost as if some things are spoilers though. We start off with an exciting 6-man tag, just to get the crowd raring to go. And it was a superb matchup. This is the team of Drew Galloway, Kevin Steen and Sami Zayn defeat MJF, Andrade El Idolo and Wyndham in 1824 when Drew Galloway pinned Wyndham with the Claymore Click. In 81 here, we had a lot of issues in recent weeks between Galloway and El Idolo, and I felt like this was a good opportunity to give Steen and Zayn a victory because they've had some issues with MJF. And hopefully remind the audience, you can see everybody's performance, you can see Sami Zayn's, it's like, yeah, he's far better than that 67, but he's been so willing to put people over. But then the promo, getting ready for the World Championship match later on in the tag division. And it's just Nick and Matt saying it's exciting that the Fatu brothers finally saw sense to come to the greatest tag division in the world, and later on tonight they are going to defeat them to show they truly are the greatest tag team in AEW and of course the world. A 75, again trying to stick to this whole new, the promos well before the match so then they have time to prepare rather than just head straight out. So speaking of tag belts, it was the AEW women's tag titles that were on the line, and as part of their win at Our Presence is Elite, the Soho squad challenged Jade Cargill and Charlotte, and it was a decent matchup. Jade and Charlotte pick up the win in 12-18 with Jade pinning Ruby Soho with the Jaded, and it gives them their second defence of the AEW women's world titles. Very happy with that, a 72, both ladies with an over 70 rated performance, and I felt like the psychology of Ruby could be something that would mesh well with the likes of Jade Cargill, but that reign carries on. Moving along, we had like a special guest match because Shingo Takagi was still on a loan deal, so I thought we'll just fire him in against Kenny, and it was about to have some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Kenny over Shingo in 1827 with a one-winged angel. 82, Shingo's obviously not over in the States, so that's why he only gets the 59 rated performance, but it gave Kenny something to do. He's an EVP, he just books what he wants basically. That's the storyline I've got there. Next up we got a promo with the world champion Sami Guevara, and he says even though the odds have been put against him in tonight's main event for the AEW World Championship, he is going to show the world. And I hope I've put the title online or I'm going to be very silly. I might pause just to make sure I have, but looking forward to it. As I say, he's got up against him, he's a lot of issues in recent weeks with John Moxley, with Adam Cole, and Hangman with a couple of tag matches, but he says if he is going to show that he is the best, he's going to have to win matches like that and show that him and Britt are the power couple in All Elite Wrestling. Can't confirm I did do it right. I always have that fear. It's like when you get the whole, I've put the wrong mat in, or you've ended up with like somebody completely different in the match and in the angle and it bombs. So like when Abaddon somehow was in instead of Hangman, because obviously, you know, Adam Page. But the title match is fine. But anyway, we had the next matchup in the series between the Fatu brothers and the Young Bucks, and it was about that had good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd as the Young Bucks pick up the win in 1918 with a Meltzer driver Matt Jackson pinning Jay Fatu. So it's their 8th defence of the World Tag titles. Again, really showing how good they are. Both teams getting great bonuses. And in 82, I think is only really just scratching the surface of where these two teams can go. I think if I get both of them into the 80s over, we could be looking at a solid 90 rated matchup, and we've a lot of tag teams that these two can mesh with. I went with a fatal 4-way match just to kind of give, you know, some people that on the card and give people standout victories. I think because of where they are in terms of popularity and physical decline, that AJ, Pete Dunne and Riddle are kind of like the TNT division at this moment in time. But Pac is on another level, and it's a good matchup. He defeats Pete Dunne, Matt Riddle and AJ Styles in 15-28, where he pinned AJ Styles following the Black Arrow. A 79, AJ's had issues with all of these guys in the last couple of weeks, so it just made sense to have a fatal 4-way and a kick-ass matchup that Pac wins. We then had a promo. Matt Cardona and Cody Rhodes have a few words to say about Rey Mysterio and Darby Allin. The plan initially was for Mysterio to be in the Lucha Underground Championship match, but I felt like he would have been better as a babyface here for Darby Allin. But obviously Cardona's been the kind of pawn in the way of Darby Allin, with him being the Deathmatch King, obviously powerbombing him off the stage at a prior event. But Cody wants his hands on Cody Rhodes. Darby wants his hands on, sorry. He wants to show that he can get to that next level, and a victory over Cody Rhodes would be massive. So in 81 here, as we go for the tag match, we had basically a situation where I think it was Cardona was in a match and he won. Can't remember who he was facing. Darby attacked Cardona, Cody attacked Darby, and then Rey Mysterio made the save to make this tag match. So unfortunately, Cody and Cardona have zero chemistry, but they are pals, so it works in terms of in my head. So I made this storytelling, but the matchup anyway, great heat, good wrestling. Mysterio and Darby defeat Cody and Matt Cardona in 12:08 when Darby pinned Cody with a coffin drop. Darby head and shoulders above the rest. Matt Cardona the weak link. Obviously you probably lose about an in-ring performance, maybe about 10 when you've got the zero chemistry, so Cody would have been on Darby's level. Matt Cardona wouldn't have been far off Rey Mysterio, but the emphasis here was getting Darby Allin that big victory, so I think we're going to start going all in on Darby. His psychology stat is in a good place. We then have the general manager of Dynamite, Chris Jericho, alongside the man who's going to be running Lucha Underground on Dynamite, which is of course Luis Fernandez. And they basically just say, this is time for the Lucha Underground Championship match. Get ready to enjoy what we'll be bringing on Wednesday nights for an hour. And the first ever Lucha Underground match within the confines of All Elite Wrestling. So a decent matchup. It had Garza Jr. defeat Mascara Dorada, Penta El Zero M, and Bandido in 12-16, with Garza Jr. pinning Mascara Dorado with the wing clipper, following interference from Lisa Long, his manager. So a few things to cover here. Garza Jr. wins the belt, of course. Lisa Long is a generated wrestler who had like 95 sex appeal, so I thought we'll just put her with Garza Jr. and see if she gets over, because that could give us some good boosts in the future. 69 is the rating, and I think it's a nice place to start. It's not going to be like our main event guys are going to be competing in Lucha Underground. It is just going to give something different, and maybe some of the mid-carders something to do when we add in, of course, the Gift of the Gods and the Trios Championship belts as well down the line. But I went for Garza Jr., and after the matchup he celebrates alongside Luis Fernandez, heel with the heel, I wouldn't say owner, but the heel authority figure. 67 is what we get regardless. We then had the Punk and Bryan matchup. Exceptional. Bryan Danielson defeats CM Punk in 13:48 with a running knee. 91 for Danielson, 86 for CM Punk. Now you're wondering why he's only going 14 minutes. Well, CM Punk doesn't have the stamina anymore because of age, so you have to limit these matches. So I think we've done well for the time constraints that we have to put on it because of Punk's, because it would have fell apart and made a terrible rating. But it gives Bryan the big win. So we are going to still have Punk in a decent position, but he won't really be fighting for World Championships, and the American Dragon will carry on. Then had BB4 a few words before her challenge to Demi Bennett for the AEW Women's World Championship, and she says this is her moment. She's worked her ass off for it, and she's ready to make Demi Bennett's run as champion short-lived. That was at 78. And in a super matchup, Demi Bennett defeats BB4 in 20:48 with Riptide. I wasn't going to take the title off her already. Not about that transitional championship life, but Demi gives her first defence. I've got to say, an 82 and a 79 is very promising, because these two are still work in progress athletes, and the lack of psychology, that's fine. Once one of them gets the psychology, I think you could easily look at this match being an 82 or an 83, which again is very promising for the women's division. You'll see a lot now that the younger folks are going to get pushed, but they're going to be in like a lot of matches just to try and help with that psychology stat. Especially likes of MJF, once he hits 80 and I know that he can carry a match, he'll be fine. He'll be getting pushed to the moon if you were Trevor Lee. And your main event didn't go as well as possible, which is a shame, but an exceptional matchup saw Adam Cole defeat Hangman, Sammy Guevara and Jon Moxley in 24:09 when Adam Cole pinned Sammy Guevara with a flying crossbody. This matchup was for both the World Championship and for the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship. Cole put up both, or put up one to win the other, so he is now a double champion. He is your AEW World Champion, and he's also your IWGP United States Heavyweight Champion. This allows me to have some fun with that belt, and also allows me to book Adam Cole as champion. 4 solid performances there, but disappointed it was only an 83. Possibly could have just come down to who the road agent was, which was Jerry Lynn. So, my thinking behind this is basically Sammy will never really feud with Adam Cole because he's just so, because of obviously the scandal with him cheating on with Britt. They won't work angles as much together. Sammy also was very hesitant to put people over, despite people mostly being more over than him. So I think he's capped at 85, but like he was reluctant to even lose this match. And I'm like, mate, every guy in this match is apart from Cole was higher over, but Cole was like only 2 points lower in overness. So I thought, if you get an ego, I'll take the belt off you, and we'll run with something else. So we're gonna run with Adam Cole, baby, as champ, and as I say, we'll have some fantasy matches for the IWGP US Championship. But you've probably sourced it by now. When one program ends, one program shall begin. New champions babyface somebody was turning heel. And after the matchup, it's only a 79 rated segment, but Cole and Hangman, they're in the ring. They're obviously both baby faces, and they've been beaten down by an American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, by Walter, by Claudio, by Daniel Garcia. Handle the changes, 8 segments, complete success. We have a new stable. There's more people to join it. He's been talking to just anybody that can wrestle like fuck. So yeah, it's basically my poor, well, I don't know if it'll be a poor version, it would be a good version. It's going to be a lot bigger version than, of course, the Blackpool Combat Club. But Brian will lead it. Walter, Claudio, Garcia, can't wait for that. And overall we get a 92, which is good, but that's of course for the money we invested at the start of the show and the good 100 opening segment. But basically a really solid show. Nowhere near the 100 rating. Bryan versus Cole could do it. And as I say, I just want to just utilise the use of Bryan just tagging with like Garcia, tagging with Claudio, and just having some practically exceptional matches. So we'll skip to the main screen as we head into the second week of March 2024, which is scary that I'm actually nearly closing in the 3-year mark. So we're actually closing in probably my longest ever saves, where it's been like booking everything. Because it's such a time consuming game. I don't auto book, I book everything, I micromanage every single last detail, so well, not every single last detail, but obviously I don't do try to get crowds built up and burning them out in that instance, but overall I'm very happy with it. Not too much to cover here. Feedback was awesome, fantastic reviews. Don't think anything else directly affects us there, and Pac just wants a pay rise. That's fine, we're not struggling for money, so that's cool. Well, I'll try to sign John Cena, should have said that. Nah, it's only going to be like a mad paper appearance deal, but I've just said to him here, well, just you can have all the merchandise money, just sign for us basically. And like a 2-year deal, but I wouldn't be upset if like he just extends with WWE. So Pete Dunne says that Liviana Morgan is charismatic. We get 1.17 viewers, which was 2.34, so a wee bit more in terms of people viewing that viewed our Presence is All Elite. But you can see there, like $287 million, like we're absolutely fine. We make so much money off of broadcast revenue, and if I ever struggled, I'd just put some events on AEW Plus and we would be absolutely laughing ourselves to the bank. But yep, good position to be in, solid show, and we carry on the road to the Free For All series. Dream big. What was our main event for that? It was MJF versus Bryan Danielson. Is that the first Free For All series? I know I was going to do a lot of events and it only ended up doing 1 or 2. Let me have a quick look at that before we hand the video over. 2023, order by date, order by rating. Actually, it would be a high rating because it would be a major event and you'd be able to notice it easier. So Dream Big, we'd done that. Anything else for the Dream? Couple of Power Hour tapings, 2022. No, well, I've done the one. I thought we'd have done more. I know it was like the attempt to, I suppose, in the Free For All series, although I never really put it, the 24-hour extravaganza technically would come under that, because obviously 106,000. Basically, the biggest attendances would filter under that particular banner. I really could have went another way this, but top 100s. Alright, so that's the two. Basically, the free shows have been the Free For All series, Dream Big, and the 24-hour extravaganza. So I don't know if we'll call it Dream Big, but we'll call it the Free For All series, and it'll be an event like that we'll book in 3 weeks' time in game. So thanks for watching, enjoy the rest of your day, and see you soon. Bye bye.